Everyone, Rochelle here from Dreaming English, and today I have the honor to have Alfonso from Venezuela, who I spoke to a year ago. I've been actually speaking to Alfonso for a few years now on HelloTalk, but I have had him on the Dreaming English channel about a year ago and finally got him back. So Alfonso, thank you for joining.
Hello, dear Richelle. It's my pleasure. I'm very happy to have you here soon. It's been a while, really.
So yeah, thank you. The conversation we had about a year ago is one of the most popular videos that I have on YouTube and the most popular conversation that I've had. I've spoken to people, many people from India. I had another conversation with a woman from Venezuela, one conversation with somebody from Colombia, and then some other people from other countries, Siberia. I had somebody from Siberia, but mostly from India. But yours was the most popular one. And I think the reason is I think you're another person learning English. So I think people can really relate. And they basically have seen how you are very confident. Like I feel usually when we speak on HelloTalk, we're leaving messages back and forth, and mostly in English because I've not been practicing my Spanish, and you're able to listen to it and respond very quickly. So if I, on the other hand, listen to you in Spanish, I've got to listen to it a few times before I can respond.
Yes, HelloTalk is a blessing for us. It's a great tool for everybody who wants to get a second language, really. And it was great. I always, when people ask me, hey, how do you do? What about your English? How is your experience? Tell me about an effective tool. I always say, well, the first thing is dreaming English. You need dreaming English, definitely, if you want to improve your ear and your speaking. That's no discussion about that, but there are other tools, and HelloTalk is one of them, because you have the real chance to start a conversation with a real native speaker, and that's not easy sometimes. So I always talk to the people about HelloTalk, and then Dreaming English. Well, I'm the ambassador of Dreaming English. I have to advise people and talk to people about you. And I always talk about, there is a platform very interesting I am using nowadays when you have a couple of, when you have certain practice. I'm talking about Free for Talk. That's a very interesting platform. And of course, Duolingo, yeah. And you were talking about your interviews. I have to say thank you to your followers, because I know that this first gathering was very interesting. In those moments, I was a little bit nervous because my English wasn't good. Now isn't good neither, but I think I have improved a little bit. And I remember your interview. You had a gathering with Valentine. Do you remember Valentine?
Yes,
Dominican
I had
Republic, this guy. Yeah.
three conversations with Valentine. I do remember those quite well.
Yeah.
So English.
The thing
Valentine.
is that you have a lot of experience interviewing people and sharing with people, and that's great, because that's it's a great opportunity. And I think that's the reason people like to watch your this phase of interviews and gathering with people. It's
so I think part of what I do, like some people will, there's a lot of people making these conversation videos, and what I try to do is like try to have some sort of conversation via like voice messaging back and forth to kind of feel whether or not it will be a good fit. Because like if I have a conversation with somebody and we don't have things in common, it's going to be a boring conversation, right? Or maybe I might not be able to understand them. So I try to get a feel for whether or not I can understand them and whether or not they have the level to be able to have other people understand them. and whether or not we're going to have things in common to talk about. I know that we've been talking for years, but I found that from HelloTalk, I've only had like a few friends that I've made that I actually correspond with regularly, because it's hard. You start a conversation with somebody and maybe you talk for a few days and then they disappear, or maybe you just find that you don't have much more to talk to them about besides the weather and about like superficial things, right? So I think trying to find language partners is difficult. I mean, you can find people to talk with you all the time, and people that are willing to make phone calls or willing to get on Skype and whatnot, but they might not be someone that you're going to have a really good conversation with. So that's the difficulty, is finding people that will be a long-term person that you can practice with, and somebody that you can actually, have things to speak to about, that you have things in common. And I find that I can talk to you about anything. I love sharing with you different things that are happening through the day, but I think we have real meaningful conversations too.
Yes, totally agree. It's very difficult, specifically when you don't have the capacity and the confidence to keep a conversation with your interlocutor. It's so challenging for you, because when you try to keep a conversation online, it's hard, right, to keep a topic. But if you don't have vocabulary enough, if you are a learner, it's more difficult. I think that's the great advantage from HelloTalk, because you can get a partner even though you are a learner, and you can listen to the message, the voice note, not live. It's like a WhatsApp. You can listen to the message, the voice note. You can repeat it and repeat it until you can understand, and in consequence you can respond to the other guy. So you can keep a conversation, and the other people can say, "Okay, that's good. I can help you." But if you are not able to keep a conversation, it's impossible you can have a partner, because of it's possible this partner can help you, but at the end of the day, he's gonna say, "Okay, you know what? I am really busy. Sorry," because you are not able to keep a minimal conversation. So that's very important, and I think that's the importance of HelloTalk.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, like, having these conversations, like you talk about the vocabulary. Now I'm getting there in Spanish, but it's still difficult for me to have a conversation and really express myself, because I have not listened enough, even though I watch Spanish all the time. I watch Luisito Comunica all the time, almost every one of his videos. I watch shows in Spanish all the time. I listen to podcasts, but if it comes to trying to express ideas that I really want to like share something, I still am not there that I can just think in Spanish and be able to speak it. So I'm not there. Like if you said, Rochelle, I have a YouTube channel where I am having conversations in Spanish, will you come on? I would be nervous. I don't think I'd be ready for that. So it does take a matter of like some, building up the vocabulary and if that makes sense, right?
Yes, yo no sé por qué tú no tienes, yo creo que te falta confianza. Tú hablas muy bien español y yo puedo entender muy bien. I can understand you when you are talking Spanish with me, but yeah, all this stuff about get confidence is real challenging, and you can get nervous, and it's difficult try to build an idea, structure, an expression if you are nervous. I mean, sometimes you are talking with, I'm talking with other guy from Venezuela, and we are talking in Spanish, and sometimes you don't know what to say, and you are talking in your own, in your native language. So imagine what difficult is when you need to keep struggling with other language and try to structure an idea, an expression. Oh my God, it's not easy. If you are nervous, you can live with that. It's very challenging. I think that's a great challenge to get a second language, really. Try to get confidence, and motivation. Motivation and confidence are the the cornerstone of all this journey.
Yeah. And that's what I keep on
language.
saying many times. People will say, how can I improve my pronunciation? How can I improve? I keep on saying, you got to listen, and listen to native speakers, because you could find language
Definitely.
partners. Like you could find a language partner with somebody in Colombia who's learning English, but it might not be the best person for you to practice with, because if they don't know how to pronounce English, then you're going to build bad, you're going to end up like building bad habits on how to pronounce things. So while it's still helpful, it's probably not as helpful as finding someone that is a native English speaker that wants to learn Spanish. I think that's the beauty of HelloTalk, is that you can find people that are the native speakers that want to learn your native language. And then listening to the language, because before you start speaking, like, yeah, try to find some partners. But sometimes I think people start speaking too fast, because if they are not ready and they haven't listened to the language enough, they didn't develop an ear for it. And then that's again when they're going to probably develop bad habits on their pronunciation. So the whole idea of comprehensive input method is not listening for like 10 hours or 100 hours, but it's actually like hundreds of hours, if not 1,000 hours, before you really get into speaking a lot. And I know some people just want to get speaking, and that's their choice. But for me, and for what I've learned about comprehensive input method, which has helped me, my pronunciation in Spanish used to be horrible, but now that I listen to it all the time, it's gotten a lot better. Like I really can pronounce it much better. But at the beginning, when I tried to read Spanish and I was really learning from books and trying to just learn the grammar, my pronunciation wasn't good.
Well, lovely when you talk in Spanish. You have a great accent and a great stress. But it's important that you say you said bad habits.
Well, I think like probably like not bad habits, but like maybe you develop the wrong way of pronouncing a word. And so
yes.
And even myself, there's some words in English that I mispronounce, and my daughter will say, "Oh, that's not how you pronounce it, Mom," because I probably developed that way of pronouncing it as a kid. And like breakfast, I think I still say that wrong. I think it's breakfast, but I will say prefix. I'm not saying it properly. And I developed that bad habit of pronouncing that word since a kid. So it's really hard for me to make that change. And I'm a native English speaker.
Katrina also have a great Spanish accent. It's incredible, really. She speaks like a real native Spanish speaker.
Oh yeah, I think it's awesome because like, she doesn't really want to learn Spanish, but I kind of like forced her as a kid. And now like I can just get her to do like one Duolingo lesson a day, but she doesn't want to learn it. But she has I think she's younger, so she can like pick up on it and develop the proper pronunciation. So she can read it right along, and she can actually understand quite a bit, even though I was having her take Spanish lessons with another person from Venezuela, and it was an hour long, and I was putting her through this at 8 years old and making her sit at a computer and taking these lessons. And she's like, "Mom, that was awful. Like, I can't even stand taking a piano lesson for a half hour. And you made me sit there and take a Spanish lesson with somebody that didn't speak English for an hour." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I really wanted you to learn another language." But she did get the pronunciation, and she did learn, like, it's still there. Like she can, go through the Duolingo lessons and understand it. But I can't build that motivation in her. She needs to have that herself. And I had it as a kid, because when I was growing up, there were people from Puerto Rico, all around, and they were speaking Spanish all the time. And I wanted to know what they were saying. And I love the fact that they could speak English and Spanish, and I could only speak one language. So I really wanted to learn another language. But she doesn't have that motivation. Whatever reason it is, she does not really have any motivation to learn another language.
Well, the great thing is that she is a teenager, so she has a lot of time ahead to get motivation. And I think the more important is that you showed her this world of languages, and this is the more important. In any time she's gonna try to improve when she need to do that.
Yeah.
The great thing is that she's a little girl, a baby, so she has time a lot.
Yeah, she does.
You were talking about the need, the importance to have conversation with real native speakers, with native speakers. Of course, every native speaker is real. I don't know why I say real native speaker, but the thing is that yes, sometimes people ask me. Sometimes people say me, they claim, okay, but American people also have bad habits, not only Spanish and Latino people. And I say, okay, but you need to you want to learn American, you want to learn English, so you need to get even bad habits, but from native speaker, not from your another guy who speaks Spanish, because you need to learn English, so you need to keep speaking with real native, and no matter if they have if they don't pronounce correctly. Most people have errors when they are talking even in their native language, but the thing is that you need to learn from them, and the only way definitely is you have to be very dynamic with a native partner and try to take advantage from them.
I think you make a good point, because here's the thing. There are people that from Boston and they will speak a certain way, and there's people from New York and they'll speak a certain way, and they may have people from Boston drop their R's. They might say, I asked, like they'll instead of saying I asked somebody, they'll leave out the S, I think. And it's important to be able to understand them, because you're going to come across, if you are going to be trying to speak English with anyone that you come across, you're going to need to understand the person that is from Boston, the person that's from New York, the person that's from Alabama. You know, for me, for Spanish, I listen to people from Spain. I listen to people from Argentina, from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Mexico. So I can understand, you know, all of the different ways that they speak, instead of just only listening. If I only listen to people from Spain, I would probably have a hard time understanding somebody from Argentina. And I want to know how to understand people from every country. I know it's difficult, but I think the more exposure that I have to different people from different places, the more ability that I'm going to be able to understand them. And in English, there's people like, I have a hard time if somebody is from Wales or from Scotland. It's very difficult to understand them. Like if we were to type our responses back and forth, I can understand. But if I listen to them, it's hard for me to understand somebody from Scotland. Even some people from different places in Australia, they're going to be very difficult to understand.
Yes, si tú puedes entender a alguien de Argentina, if you can understand someone from Argentina or from Chile, you are a great Spanish speaker, because you are talking about Australia or about Wales. Well, yeah. the Australia and the Wales of South America is Argentina and Chile. Sometimes I have to make a great effort to understand a Chilean guy, because they have a very strong accent, like Argentinian people. It's very, very strong. And along with this, they have, it's like, specifically Argentina is like a different country when you talk about the culture of Latin America. Argentina is like, I don't know how to explain that. It's like you take the country. Someone took the country one time, and this country was in other part of the world, and say, I'm gonna put this country here in Latin America. They have other culture, very different culture, and due to this, they use different slangs, different expressions, and that's complicates much more. Try to understand them more than their accent, their stress is very, 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 very strong. So try to understand Argentinian and Chilean people is a great challenge. And I think people who is learning Spanish should take these accents like the ultimate challenge, when you feel confidence and you are trying to polish your you're speaking, you're Spanish speaking, you're Spanish listening speaking, you can say, okay, I'm gonna try to get a couple of partners from Chile or from Argentina, or I'm going to travel to this country so I can improve my Spanish. It's something like, the top of the
Yes,
mountain.
that would be
When
definitely.
if you can, yeah, if you can understand them, and I think that in English it's something similar. Australian people, but there is I think I talked to you about this some days ago. There is some kind of languages low. It looks like there are. I mean, there are certain common things that every language share. For
Oh, right.
example, if yeah,
You
so
sent me an article about that, and I think it was like short
yeah, that's very
words.
interesting.
Short words were used. I can't remember. I read the article, but maybe you can remind me in what that article was saying.
Yes, and basically there is two or three things that are very common about languages, and when you can deal with this, it's easier for you understand everybody, no matter their accent. You know, and you even are able to use your second language, take advantage from your second language to get a third, fourth, or another language you wanna speak. So it's very interesting if you can get that level. I always have thought that my goal is understand everybody in English. That's the reason why I'm studying English, is because I want to understand everybody. But it's a real challenge. Really. I am very excited nowadays because I can understand you. That's great for me.
Yeah.
I have 12 native speaker, Michelle, my pata. You know what does pata mean?
No.
Pata is a Spanish term. I didn't know. I learned that from basically Kiliani. He is my friend. He's from Canada. He's a language teacher, and he loved Peru, Peru, the country in Latin America, and he was teaching me some certain words I didn't know in Spanish. And he's from Canada. He lives in Korea, and he told me "tata" in Peru means my best friend.
Oh,
My
okay.
it's like buddy, compinche, amigo, friend. But I didn't know they use this term "pata" in in Peru. In Venezuela, "pata" is food.
Oh, okay.
It's informal food. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I'm going to show you. This is a cat that no one ever hardly sees, but here is Jasper. And
Jasper.
he is very scared. So usually he's only around in the morning. And I have another
Hello,
chair.
Jasper.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. So I have another chair over here that Katerina sometimes sits in. So he's come over here to sit here. So yeah, I've learned like there's all kinds of words in England and in Australia that mean different things, or ways that they'll say truck, or they'll say whatever different words. And I don't even know all of them. Some of them I've learned from watching movies. And actually tomorrow I'm going to be on an interesting thing where somebody from Peru has asked me and another one of my American friends to be on like a Zoom thing. They actually have an English club, and then they have two people from England, and we're going to talk about the differences between English from England and English from America. So it'll be interesting to learn from these people that they got from England. So yeah, so that's tomorrow. I'm going to actually be part of that. And there's going to be a bunch of people, Spanish speakers that are learning English that will be there to ask us questions. So
Yes, that is very interesting. And it's very crazy when you are, it's so enjoying when you are listening the difference between people from different countries.
yeah.
Everybody, when people, it's very different when um, a British guy asking for a cup of water
Yeah,
than
water.
yeah, or a person from the United States when they are asking for a cup of water.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah, it's different the way we say it. And then like my daughter, when she was learning Spanish, and she would go to her friend's house that's they're from Puerto Rico, and she'd ask, "Can I have some sandia?" I think it's sandia, which is
Yeah,
watermelon.
something.
But people from Puerto
Watermelon.
Rico just say watermelon. They understood her. They knew what she was saying, but they don't say sandia. They say watermelon because they're so influenced from United States that they have taken on a lot of the words. So they're like, quiero quiero unos watermelon or something like that, right? They're not going to say quiero una sandia.
Yeah, we call it patilla.
So
Watermelon.
see, there's like, and that's too. I think I learned that from either you or someone else from Venezuela, but I forgot because I think these things are interesting to learn, but it's not like if I went to Venezuela that it's going to be so important that I know the correct word for watermelon. I think some people like really kind of worry about knowing the correct words for so many things that I feel like you're not really going to use that very much. So it's good to know. It's probably good to be familiar with, but I see like people like, sharing all these videos on how to talk about whatever or particular words. Like I saw somebody saying 50 different fruits and their names. And I said, I don't even know 50 different fruits. Like I wouldn't be able to name all those fruits.
Yes, it's so challenging. When we're trying to talk about a topic, I don't know why, but it's so difficult. It's
Yeah.
possible if I start to think. If you ask me for 50 fruits, I don't think I can list them even in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. And I couldn't in
Parece
English. And I
cambur,
said to the
patilla.
person, like, wow, like you did a video on 50 different type of fruit, but I don't even know the English words for I wouldn't recognize them. And in fact, in the supermarket, I don't think they have 50 different kinds of fruits that they will be selling at one time.
Yes, yes. I think that English for how would you say
Oh,
English
Dad, come
for the
here.
kitchen
Oh, I was gonna have my
is is pro. I mean, I think you have to specialize in the cook in the kitchen if you are going to talk in other language because it's like you are going to translate something in medicine or a financial topic. The kitchen is also a topic and a specific topic because there are a lot of glossary, a lot of term. Um, Even the custom is different. The way people cook is different based on the country and the culture they are from. But
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
yeah.
I like a lot this part of translating of translations when you are translating something about cooking. It's very interesting because you learn a lot of the culture of the other person.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Um, so
Mhm.
I think we were talking earlier before we started recording about the lives that I've been doing. And so that's something that I was actually nervous to do, even though I'm a native English speaker, but I was like nervous to go on. First, I thought I'm going to go live and no one's going to come. And I'm just going to be like talking out there to no one. Um, and people came, but I think what is very difficult for me is like talking nonstop for an hour. That's really difficult to do. And then trying to come up with a topic that I can talk about for an hour. Like when I go for live, like the first time I didn't really intend to go for an hour, but I would have people that would pop on and pop off, and then somebody else would come on. And I feel like, well, I should keep on talking because somebody just arrived. And so I've been keeping them for about an hour, but to find a topic that I can talk about for an hour and then hopefully try to get people to maybe like comment and ask questions. It's been difficult. It's fun. I do like doing it, But it's definitely a difficult thing, even as a native speaker, that I speak English and obviously I know all the words that I can think of, but it's difficult.
Yes, it's very tough, and I admire people who is able to make a speech. I admire, for example, a singer, because they are able to sing and to play their instrument in front of thousands and thousands of people, and that's that's very difficult. I like sing, as you know, but I'm not able to sing in front of millions of people, or even in front of, for me, 100 person is a lot of people. For example, it's a real challenge. Try to express uh, whatever you do. If you are a politician, you have to make a speech. I remember a video you recall about Vincent when he was in the last class, and he had to read he was honored with the final speech
Yeah,
in
he's a
his graduation,
valedictorian.
and it was great. I say, wow, this guy is making a great effort, because he's a baby, really, and he had to assume this challenge, and he did it well, very well, perfect, because of he was a little bit nervous.
He was, and then
And
he got more comfortable, but there was a lot of people. Like, first of all, his
yeah,
class was probably close to 500 students, and then their parents, and then grandparents, and then other people from the city. So you're probably talking like a couple thousand people that could be there, and then they're also broadcasting it for everyone else at home to watch. So he was potentially like, there could have been a couple, maybe 10,000 people that are watching in total, and then it's being recorded and they're putting it on YouTube. So like the city local access channel, recorded it, put it on live broadcast, and then they later on put it onto YouTube. So that was a challenge. Like, I couldn't have done that. For me, going on YouTube, recording and then editing, that was still a challenge, because I didn't like to get up in front of a group of people. I remember the first time, it was maybe like 15 years ago, that I was asked to get up in front of my coworkers and present. And maybe there was 30 people in the room, and I was nervous. I was like, I was talking really fast. I was probably shaking a bit. I was very nervous. And then I actually joined a club, and it's called Toastmasters, where you actually practice making speeches. So that helped. And I would practice making the speech maybe in front of 20 people, but they were all there to practice learning how to make speeches. But this whole idea of doing YouTube, this was Katarina's idea, my daughter. She wanted to be a YouTuber because that's what most kids want to do, or they want to be a TikToker, right? So I said we could do it if it was educational. So it was her idea. And so when we came up with this idea, I agreed to do it with her, but I was kind of nervous to, be recording. But I think what made it a little easier is we could record, and we didn't have to have somebody standing behind a camera. We could just record and just be there ourselves in front of the camera, be able to see ourselves, because you can turn the viewing screen so you can see what you look like. And we didn't have a live audience. And after, I could go and edit out. So if I made a mistake, I could edit that part out. And so that was what made really the live hard, is now I'm going live and I can't edit it out. You can edit things out after in YouTube, but it's difficult and it's just too time consuming, especially if I went live for an hour. So basically I tell people this is live, raw, native English speaker. This is what you get. And you'll hear that I'm making errors, because that's how we speak. Last week when I went live, I had a bit of a problem, because I tried to go live with this program called OBS. And the idea was that I was going to talk about books, and I was going to let people see, I was going to bring up the books on Amazon so I could let them see the cover and what I was talking about. But what I forgot about was that I needed to set up this microphone, and people couldn't hear me. And so they started putting like, we can't hear you. And so I had to then quickly figure out, end that live, start a new one. And I wasn't sure if people were even going to find it because I had to have a new YouTube code, like a new YouTube link. So I was like, okay, now I'm going to start a live because I said I would do this and I would talk about books, but I don't know if anybody's going to come to it. But they did. They came, and I think you were on there as well. But I was a little frazzled when I was doing it because I had that problem. Yeah, so I decided I'm not going to do that for a while. I'm just going to just only use the camera. Let's just stick to that for now. That's what I know. I'm not going to stick to, because I think sometimes when I go live, it would be awesome to bring up a picture and show people that, and that was the idea of using OBS, that I could actually show them a picture. And like, if I'm talking about something and I want to show them that picture, I could do that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I think those. Sometimes I think that when you talk about communication, you sometimes I think it should be easier communicate. I mean, everybody need to communicate, but it is not easier than you can think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to prepare for this, because when you are learning a second language, or you are learning a language, you are preparing to communicate. For example, if you are learning a second language, you are doing it because you need to communicate with other persons. What I mean is that you need to have the capacity to manage your nerves. That's part of the job. That's part of the job. That's part of the challenge. Try to manage yourself, because it's the only way to communicate. I mean, it's not a good idea if you are, how do you say introvertido in English? Introvertido. A pity guy, a ashamed person. If you learn a second language, you need to manage your personality as well, because if you are not able to talk with a lot of people, you are not gonna use your skill, your second language, because you are ashamed, you are pity.
Yeah.
So that's important as well, I think.
Yeah.
And every single day is passing with all this stuff about internet and the camera and the virtual communication and the meetings are, or everything is virtual. I think that we all need to work on this technology, the new technology, because for me, for example, all this stuff is new. Zoom, YouTube. When I was a young guy, I hadn't YouTube, neither Facebook, WhatsApp, Zoom, etc. So we also need to work on this, because this is part of a conversational process as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something to adjust to. I think with we've been having obviously a lot of Zoom meetings, and there is some loss. Like when we have a Zoom meeting, we're having the meeting, we're talking everything, but there isn't as much of the like for work, there's not as much of the kind of personal stuff, like, oh, how's your daughter doing? Did she have her birthday party? Or those kind of conversations, because you can't really have those individual conversations. You're in a big Zoom room. It's not possible to just, oh, let's go in our own little Zoom room and have a little conversation and chit chat and kind of build that relationship. So, I think there is like some loss to it, but at the same time, for me, I've been able to take part in a lot of things I wouldn't be able to, because some things that might have been a meeting that would be after work that I wouldn't be able to go to, I can go to now because it's on Zoom and I can do it from home. So I've been able to be involved in a lot more things that I wouldn't be able to be. But there is that loss of kind of building those relationships, those one-on-one relationships that you can build either through organizations that you're with or through like work relationships. I think for my work relationships with my own team, there was a strain last year when we weren't seeing each other because we couldn't have those personal conversations that we would have to really kind of get to know each other as people. And then if you're working together and you're having to get things done, I think when you have those personal relationships, you're more understanding of other people. And so now we're back to kind of like being in person, but we're still on Zoom for some things. So I think that's definitely helping. But I think there is talk of like, actually, there's like, I just heard the story about MIT coming up with some new thing, kind of like Zoom, but it gives you more of that opportunity to have those personal kind of conversations with people, to like easily like pop into like, just like, oh, I want to have a conversation with Zolchi. I'm going to pop into this little room and have like a conversation. So that could possibly like change things, but I think, I don't know, I'm just rambling now.
Yeah. That's right. I agree with you. Can you remember me? What's the name of your co-worker?
Her name is Zolchi, and so she's from Panama, but her name is like, I guess from Mexico, like it's from Native Americans, but her father actually spelled it wrong. So she's the only one that has her spelling, which is it's Xolchit, but it should be spelled differently. Maybe there should be another L in it or something.
Okay.
So she has a very
yeah. I wanted to see. I forgot to go because
that's
my
fine.
mom I need to assist my mom. She wanna
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
to the
Well,
bathroom.
thank you so much for doing this, and maybe we can do it again before another whole year goes by.
Yes, thank you very much. Before I say goodbye, I wanna send you a very special message. I want to. It's important you record this part. You
Okay.
post this part of the gathering, because I wanna say thank you to all your followers. As you know, I am your ambassador, so I have the authority to say people thank you to all your followers. I think you have more than 4,000
Yes.
subscribers. Okay, so I also want to say thank you for all of them, because they are, thanks to them, you keep motivating to make more and more videos, and that is a very important part of my process, uh, like an English learner. So I wanted to say, not only to you, but for all your followers, thank you, and I hope they can support this video more than the first video. That's very important for us, because that's the way we can keep motivated and try to help people to communicate and to learn a second language. That's the goal of Dreaming English: help people to learn and to reach this goal and get a second language, and that's possible only if you watch Dreaming English.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful support. And that
Gracias a ti y gracias a todos los seguidores.
Okay.
Entonces nos vemos. Chao.
Okay. Hasta luego.